Hi guys, congratulations on finishing your English 1 official STAR exam. This is definitely a step forward to meeting all of your graduation requirements. Your English 1 STAR is required in the state of Texas for graduation. You have an amazing English teacher, guys. Ms. Campos put in a lot of time, sweat, tears. So hopefully you use those strategies and you feel really, really good about this exam. So I really want to touch base, guys, on the upcoming exam that you have next. You have a mock AP Human Geography exam. So this exam is online. I want to make that very, very clear. This exam is this Thursday, which is April 8th, and it is online. We should not be in person unless you regularly come to school in person. But we also have other STARS exam going on this week, and they are testing on Thursday. So we are online. So it'll be online in Teams. You will log in at 8 a.m. and we will be done by 11:50 a.m. Very, very important information. You still have a lot of content to get through for the rest of your classes. So regular schedule will be followed after the exam. So again, you are not done for the day, guys. We have a little habit of doing that. So make sure that we do follow regular schedule after the exam. So again, that's an important announcement that we have. Again, you have another exam coming up on Thursday, which is your mock AP Human Geography exam. I wanted to create just a little review lesson. I'm not sure how helpful it might be, but it's a lesson that I did last year. So hopefully you learn a little bit something. A little something. Before this video, hopefully your teachers were able to show you the video on gerrymandering from Crash Course. It is very informational. I learned a lot. Of course, I'm like a new AP Human Geo student, just like you guys. I know my science, human geography. I'm definitely learning, but there's a lot of amazing resources and you have a great teacher there to help support you, right? So let's look at this. So this is an example question, a guiding question. So what's going to guide our thinking for this is, why do borders cause problems? And a key term that we're going to keep in mind, again, it's the video that we just saw, is gerrymandering. So what is gerrymandering, right? Gerrymandering is creating irregularly shaped voting districts, usually to favor one party or another, right? So irregularly just means like something like that. That could be a district, right? It's continuous, it's definitely irregularly shaped. That's how you're able to identify that maybe there is some gerrymandering going on because the district is very, very weirdly shaped. And again, there is a focus on favoring one party over the other. So here we have this political cartoon. The first one, voters should select their own elected representatives. Elected representatives should select their own voters. So I just want to give you a minute to pause and think about that and try to get some insight. What are they talking about there? So as you can see, things have definitely changed from then until now. Looking at this first one where we're saying we want voters to represent, where we want voters should select their own elected representative. So this political cartoon is making fun of politicians. Back when the Constitution was drafted, the districting language is that every district must have proportional representation based on population, and that districts must be contiguous or continuous or adjacent and not in pieces. So as time passed by, politicians figured out a way to go around the rules, right, of the Constitution and still comply with proportional representation that's contiguous, but it favors their own particular party, right? So se pusieron el que no tranza no avanza, right? Basically, they found a way to shape their voting districts in order to best favor one party or the other. It's not just like a Republican thing or a Democrat thing. I believe across the board it just happens. It's just depending on who is in power that year, right? Or who has larger representation. So that is what that little political cartoon is showing us. So we're going to quickly review the notes. that were in the video. I really like this video, guys. I thought it was extremely helpful. So these are ideas and key points that can help you write that FRQ. So the number of representatives each state gets in the House of Representatives is based on population. Our most populous state is California, and I believe the video stated that they have about 53 representatives. So we have states with 53 representatives, and we have states like Alaska with only one. So again, in the House of Representatives, it is based on population. In order to determine the number of people living in an area and the correct congressional representation, the census is given every 10 years. So every 10 years, guys, I believe 2020 was the last census, which is a little bit different, because of COVID. A lot of it was done online, but the census is extremely, extremely important. Maybe for the census in 2030, some of you might be working for the census. A lot of people in college take those jobs where they're trying to gather data. And again, having that accurate representation definitely helps get more seats in the House of Representatives. So that's why it's very, very important. And I believe the slogan for the census is like, you count, right? So again, make sure you fill out the census every 10 years so we can get more representatives from our area. So states are divided into single member districts, and districts are required to be equal in population. So that is one of the rules that was listed since the very beginning, that districts are required to be equal. One problem with single member districts is that they can cut minority groups out of the political landscape. So like I said, el que no tranza, no avanza. There's ways that they can set up the the voting districts, so the minority groups there will be split apart and they become even a smaller minority, and their voice is not heard. They don't have a fair chance at that representation. And again, it goes both ways, the right and to the left. It's not one way or the other, but again, it's just those minority groups that normally suffer from this. So as always, guys, they want to try to have some form of checks and balances to combat this problem. The Supreme Court and Congress called for districts to be drawn that are majority minority districts. I know it feels like a double negative, but the majority of that district should be a minority group. So that's the way that they're trying to combat the problem. So the minority groups aren't completely silenced. There is a requirement for districts to have these majority minority districts, right? So let's say that we have a district and there is a minority group that says, you know what, pineapple goes on pizza. It is not the most popular opinion, but it is a minority group ideology, right? So there's going to be one district that is going to be drawn where, when it comes to a pizza party, right, there's going to be that district that is going to vote for pineapple on pizza, and they have a very fair chance of being able to pass that some pineapple pepperoni pizza gets ordered. So again, that is the majority minority system that they're trying to use. Districts are often drawn to capture a significant majority of one party or another. There is a way that they can draw these districts. And again, it's all based on data and information that they receive based on the voting that happens throughout the years. And they can draw the districts so they can capture majority jalapeno and pepperoni or majority pineapple and pepperoni, right? So again, there is a way to do that, and it is through gerrymandering, right? Districts must be of the same size in terms of population and contiguous. So this word contiguous just means it has to be continuous and it cannot be broken up apart. So that's why some of them we're going to see in the images, they look a little bit funky. Like those shapes are definitely drawn differently, but they are continuous. So the two requirements are they are equal in population and they are contiguous. And they meet those requirements. Is it showing fair representation? That can be up to question, but they are meeting the two requirements of being equal in population and being contiguous. So moving on, guys, gerrymandering can result in districts that don't actually reflect the political makeup of the state. So that's the harm that can be caused. We want to be represented accurately, but if gerrymandering is being used, it might not actually reflect the political makeup that is in the state at that time. So again, those were important announcements. So let's see, how does this look, right? What is an example of this? So IDEA Gender Binary is selecting representatives for the homecoming committee. There will be one representative for every 4 students. So one representative for every 4 students, and there are 20 students. There is 12 male and 8 female. Draw a line around groups of students to create 5 voting districts. That accurately reflects the gender ratio. So I need 2 majority female districts and 3 majority male districts. Let's assume that boys will only vote for boys and girls will only vote for girls. How many male representatives and female representatives will be on the homecoming committee? Again, we want to have a ratio of 2 female to 3 male districts. I'm going to give you about a minute, guys, and I want you to look at that image. How would you split up? Remember, they have to be equal and they have to be continuous. How would you split up those voting districts in order to accurately show the ratio of 2 females and 3 male groups? So let me give you a minute for that. Okay, guys, so remember we said boys will only vote for boys and girls will only vote for girls. So the first thing I want to do is create my female voting district. So here I have an all-female district and here I have another all-female district. I know that this is equal and they will be voting for other females, right? So I have my 2 female voting districts. And let me draw my male voting districts. Again, they are equal and they are continuous. So it is meeting the requirements of how voting districts have to be. So this is one way. Of course, you can make it look different. This is one way that you can accurately draw these voting districts to reflect what is seen. So again, we have 2 female districts and 3 male districts. Again, this is the fair way. Now let's look at a different scenario. We're going to redistrict the classroom to give male voters overrepresentation. So now we are redistricting. It is a census year. We get the chance to redistrict. So let's see this. So we're going to gerrymander the voters into 4 majority male voting districts and 1 majority female voting district. Again, we need to remember the districts have to be equal in population and continuous or neighboring. We cannot just like skip out of nowhere. So I want you to take a good look at this, guys. And let me give you about another minute. And let's see if you can come up with the voting districts. So I want to create the female voting district first. The way that I saw it in my head is, okay, I know my districts have to be of 4. And if I keep all my females together, that is a majority female district and I only need 1. So I am good for my 1 female district. Now I need to find a way that it is majority male and I need to have 4 districts for this. So again, all they have to be is equal and they have to be continuous. So these districts are going to run horizontal. So again, here I have my male districts, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I have my 1 female district. This is an accurate representation. This is what gerrymandering does. If we were trying to be equal, we would have done the first example here. This would have been a good districting decision, right? We are accurately showing our population. There's 2 females for every 3 males. That's a good way. Here, this is gerrymandering. We want to show that you can skew the representation. There is more male representation and less female. So how can gerrymandering be used to hurt? They can do things like this. They can show inaccurate representation. So how does this look like, right? These are our different sections. This is how they split it up. This is how gerrymandering looks in the United States. The dark sections, or the darker shaded sections, as you see here on your legend, that means it is more gerrymandered, and the ones that are lighter are less gerrymandered. So you can see on the more towards the east coast, like east southeast. Sorry guys, I am definitely new to geography. You can see those dark areas of gerrymandering and that representation. Texas looks very, very dark, guys. So there is definitely gerrymandering occurring here in our very own state. Again, look at how they split districts. It's a little bit funny, but they're meeting the necessary requirements. This district is going to be equal in population, and it is contiguous. It is. It continues, but look at the way that it is district. The shapes are very, very different, to say the least. So that is North Carolina's 12th district. And here we have Maryland's 3rd district. This one's nicknamed the Praying Mantis. So again, look at this district, guys. It's contiguous. It is. I'll give them that. There's a very, very thin sliver there. But this is a continuous and equal population district. And this is how you would see gerrymandering or be able to identify it on a map. So, gerrymandering in Texas. Here we have beautiful I-35. That's Texas 35. That is always under construction. So, gerrymandering in our home state of Texas. Texas congressional districts have some peculiar designs, and analysis of them shows just how gerrymandered the state has become. Silicon Valley data science quantified the shapes of the U.S. districts to examine how redistricting affects the distribution of voters and the advantages it can give to the state's ruling parties. Data scientists use a formula to determine the compactness and squiggliness of every Texas district. They learned that the districts in gerrymandered states are less compact, so that means they're more squiggly than those in non-gerrymandered states. Some states let bipartisan committees take care of redistricting, but that's not the case in Texas. It is not someone that's on the outside looking in. In Texas, the ruling Republican Party that last rewrote the map in 2012. What was the result? The Lone Star State has some of the craziest looking districts in the country. Those districts are efficient at creating an advantage for conservative politicians in the state. And the study says that gerrymandering gives Texas Republicans an extra 2 seats in the House. And of course, this effect adds up at the national level. So each Texas district has an estimated population of 698,488 people. However, through a strategy called packing and cracking, redistricting packs the Democratic voters into a few districts and dilutes the rest, leaving the GOP with a comfortable majority and in the remaining areas. So BuzzFeed and the Washington Post have been dubbed Congressional District 35, which packs together the liberal parts of San Antonio and Austin and one of the worst gerrymandered areas in the country. So if you're pretty familiar with the area of San Antonio and Austin, it's very young. So there's a lot of young people there, and it is right there, guys. The way that they district that area, it was with a purpose to pack the liberal parts there. The analysis sees a more oh my gosh, guys, I don't know that word. Egregious, sorry, I do not know how to say that. Egregious example in Texas. Congressional District 33, which connects liberal parts of Fort Worth and Texas, is squigglier than 98.6% of the districts in the United States. So again, here is something where we see ourselves, like the Corpus Christi, McAllen, Harlingen area. Here we have the Fort Worth one, which is the one that was mentioned at the bottom. Very squiggly, guys, very peculiar, different shapes. Here's another one for 35, but the Austin and San Antonio one was definitely made with a purpose to compact all the liberal voting there. So how will this look in case you see it on an exam? So here we have an image of Maryland's 3rd Congressional District. You can see the squiggliness, guys, and it is contiguous. It is contiguous, although the shape is pretty questionable. It is contiguous. In the redistricting that occurred in 2012, voters in Maryland approved a redrawn 3rd Congressional District, as shown in the map above. A geospatial analysis firm named it the least compact district in the nation. So A, identify the political phenomenon represented on the map. B, explain the relationship between redistricting and the census. And C, identify and discuss 2 political consequences that could result from redistricting. So at this point, guys, you can pause the video, take a look at it, try to come up with different answers. I would say give yourself 3 to 4 minutes per A, B, and C, and you can talk about it. If not, you can continue this video and I will go over the exemplar. So A, the phenomenon represented in the map above is gerrymandering. So again, how can you identify gerrymandering? On a map, look at those very peculiar designs, right? Like the districts are very squiggly. The census is an official count. Explain the relationship between redistricting and the census. So this is what B is answering. The census is an official count of people every 10 years by law. Representation at the district level in the United States is based on the amount of population. If a state, for example, California or Texas, has large populations, then it'll get more representation at the federal level. However, the political party that controls the state legislature gets to redistrict congressional representation based on the amount of representative the state gained or lost based on population. When the party in power redraws the district to favor their own candidates, this is called gerrymandering. So again, when the party in power redraws the district to favor their own candidates, this is called gerrymandering. Thus, winning the state legislators and governorships in a census year is important because the majority party gets to redraw district lines. So again, that's why it is very important in a census year. So, and the last question, identify and discuss 2 political consequences that could result from redistricting. So one long-term consequence of redistricting would be unfair representation of minority groups. For example, through redistricting a strategy called packing, minorities are grouped together, thus decreasing representation of minority liberal groups. An example would be District 35 in Texas, where liberal groups of San Antonio and Austin are packed together. As a result, there are less liberal-minded representatives in Texas. Another long-term, so this is the second consequence listed, another long-term consequence would be the strengthening of a particular ruling party during census year. For example, if a Republican majority is won in the year 2020, the Republican-based state legislature would redraw districts favoring their candidates. Again, this is back and forth, whichever one is in power. For the upcoming decades. For this reason, federal representation tends to be reelected over and over because people are no longer electing their candidates. On the contrary, the state legislators are choosing the voters who would favor the candidate for the party in power. So that ties back to that first political cartoon that you saw. As a result, gerrymandering creates partisan politics, in this case, the Republican Party in Texas. This can cause voters in the minority to feel frustrated and discouraged as their views are not represented with a candidate that aligns to their either conservative or liberal vision. So again, guys, this is just a little example that can help you. I'm sure Miss Chavez has already gone over this, but I wanted to give you a chance to review something, have a little bit of productive time. Again, please make sure you're on your best behavior for your teachers. I know it is so exciting to see everyone again, but safety comes first. Make sure you are washing your hands, you keep those masks on, and great job today, guys. If you have any questions, please reach out, and y'all have a great afternoon. Bye, guys.